This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
If you can't come to work and be your best self, then you're in the wrong job. You're in the wrong company. You need to go find a company where you can be yourself. And if you can do that, where people can be their true best self, that organization will outperform every other organization. Your job is to create a culture in which everyone can be their true best self.
It can be lonely at the top. And man, now notice I didn't say it is lonely at the top. But I
agree with you. I never found it lonely.
And I think it really depends on the leader and the style and your the choices that you make when you're there. Now, I will say, Greg, and you've lived it. And what a wild ride, man. I mean, where are you, by the way? Like, where do you?
I'm in Dallas today, but who knows where tomorrow.
Where's home?
Dallas is home. So,
and how did you choose Dallas, or did Dallas choose you?
I think Dallas chose me because I was living in Orange County running Taco Bell, and then when I became the CEO of Yum, I moved to Dallas. So, been here 10 years now.
All right, give me the one big surprise, because you don't have a Dallas accent, as we're both aware, correct? What's been the surprise there?
It's an easy place to live. Everyone's really nice until you drive on the roads. Then they're super nasty.
That sounds very much kind of like Florida too, if I'm being honest. Like,
yeah, I mean, everyone's kind and nice, and then when they invite you over, they generally mean it. But then they get on the roads and they won't let you merge. It's crazy. It's like Crazyville.
All right, so you're a decade there. That's amazing. What a ride it's been for you, man. Like, are you one of those guys that you can actually, you're always in it, or can you step back and sort of look at, wow, this has been quite a journey?
No, I think on a day-to-day basis, my family says I'm either 100% or zero. There's only two speeds. But yeah, as I look back at it, it's been an amazing ride. One that the whole family have sort of got to experience. Like, our daughter was born in London. So she wasn't born in Australia or the US, even though she's now both an Australian and a US citizen. We've lived in Sydney, London, New York, Orange County, Dallas. And it's been, I don't think anyone, there are moments when, you miss birthdays and wedding anniversaries and stuff like that. But I think in hindsight, because my kids are now both in business, in hindsight, I don't think they'd swap it for anything.
I mean, I'm very happy to hear this, because so I live in San Diego, not a terrible choice.
No,
but and if you're listening to this podcast, this isn't the first time I'm bringing this up, but like, I battle myself and toggle back and forth between, hey, am I being present for my kids?
Right.
Or am I going to hear a decade from now, Dad, you were never home.
Right.
And the way I've justified it as, one, hey guys, anything that's worth it takes hard work.
Yeah.
You want to live in a nice place like San Diego where it's 70, guess what? This is kind of what it takes. And then two, I want one of them to go live an adventure. I'm hoping that one of two goes and lives a courageous journey. And my wife and I get in this argument all the time. She's like, oh, wherever the kids live is where we'll live. And I'm like, no, go on the adventure and report back is my hope. Maybe you can have all of it, but it's good to hear that you recognize it.
And it's fun because now I love asking my kids, do you want to do something? They're like, oh, Dad, we're too busy at work. I go, oh, let me just ask that question again. So you can answer that same question the way Dad answered it like 25 years ago. So no, it is funny because they're both in business. And so in that sense, I think they understand the trade-offs, but and obviously when you're in your career, you don't know what the outcome's going to be. But now as I'm retired, you can reflect and you say, you know what, the trade-offs are worth it. And no one lives a perfect life. No one lives a perfect day. Life isn't balanced. But at the end of the day, you sit back and you go, hey, wow, look what we've accomplished as a family. And I think everyone thinks that all those trade-offs are worth it.
I got to ask you though, are you really retired? Are you really retired? Or are you tired? Or are you Are you still reing?
I'm like, everyone thinks I haven't retired. I've retired from being the CEO of the company, but I'm I'm on 3 public boards, 2 advisory boards, and a partridge in a pear tree, right? I do executive coaching. And so, but I think that's where I get a lot of joy from. I'm always a big believer that your legacy isn't what you do while you're there. Your legacy is what happens after you leave. And so for me, now the ability to give back and help others, I find it, someone said to me, there are 3 phases of life: learn, earn, return. I think that's a very simple description of life. So you could argue you learn the whole way through your life. But I'm actually finding return as rewarding as earn. I'm just being honest. I find it more sort of, I think from a soul point of view, or, I think I get more from the return than I did from the earn.
So funny. So I have, and there's 4 S's that I talk about, and I don't know if I share. I don't know if I
you
share
did.
this.
You did.
Okay. So perfect, because return is soul, right? It's like,
Yeah, right.
I talked about shoved. Life is shoved at you. Then you move into survivor.
Yeah.
Then you finally start it slows down in success mode, and then you get to soul mode. And so but I really like your 3 better. I think I like learn, earn, and return.
Because it's sort of what you do. You spend 20 years learning, you spend 40 years earning, and then hopefully you get a lot of time to return.
There's a tricky middle. There's a trick, but where's burn, as in burnout? Where does that fit in this?
You know what? I think, look, I've seen it happen, but I've also, I honestly never suffered from it. I mean, now, to be fair, I always took my vacation. I was a huge believer in, everyone takes their vacation. If we're going to play hard and work hard, we need to play hard. And so it's so funny because as an Australian, I grew up, everyone gets 4 weeks vacation. I came here, I got 4, but people got 2. I'm like, what the hell, 2? One of the first things I did at Taco Bell is I moved everyone from 2 to 3, and then everyone from 3 to 4. The good news is no one stopped me. So,
yeah.
And I think, but I had to encourage Americans to take their vacation, which is really silly. And the rest of the world, we're happy to, work hard for 48 weeks and take 4 off.
Well, I wonder if we're slipping back to the first question a little bit of like, it can be lonely at the top, but when you're looking out for your people, it's less lonely. And what percentage of this is fear-based, right? Like, is it a fear-based thing?
Well, my favorite acronym for fear is false expectations appearing real, right? Because obviously most of the stuff that we're fearful of never actually happened, but it sort of stops us from doing things. And I don't know. It's funny because I was thinking about obviously the discussion today, and I think about business. Our job is to make money, right? That's ultimately what our job is, But the good thing about money is it's not life and death. I mean, one of my best friends was a pilot for Qantas for 35 years. Every day he had 300 people's responsibility in his hands, right? He screws up, 300 people die. I screw up, we lose $100,000. Well, we make 100,000 tomorrow. So to be fair, I think my attitude always was, this is not life and death. I used to say to people, we're selling tacos, we're not curing cancer. And I think sometimes people take it way too seriously, which is why I think they burn out. And the other important, I'm the least perfectionist person you'll find on the planet. And I think perfectionists burn out quicker than anybody else. Because there is no perfection.
I'm a classic imperfectionist. That's what I am.
I'm really good in the ambiguity. I love it.
I'm smiling because we're doing some consulting work with Tropicana right now. And
right.
I don't think I'm sharing anything. Like the NDA is going to get.
Hey, we're about to do stuff for Wendy's right now. So we've both got projects that we're going to keep us busy.
Right. So I'm like, okay, am I crossing the line, the fear line? But no, like they have 3 G's, these 3 G's as their values. There's grit, there's grow, and there's go.
Right.
This is on the wall of the building.
Yeah.
And what I loved about the CMO is like, we're missing a G. Where's grin?
Right.
Where's grin?
Yep.
Are we having fun here?
Yeah.
It's just juice. Like you said, we're not airline pilots. It's just juice. Now they've talked about a company that's been in a world of hurt. Mother Nature crushed the crop in Florida. And there's some fear inside that org. But I love your perspective. And how often do you find yourself able to body jump into different types of people in an organization?
Oh, look, I got to tell you, like the thing I used to get into most trouble when I was at Taco Bell, both as the chief marketing officer and then when I ran it, I used to call us the M&Ms, the Mavericks and Misfits. And HR would like tackle me off the stage. You can't be calling people misfits. But at the end of the day, we actually loved being the Mavericks and Misfits. And we had a hell of a lot of fun. And as I'm now in retirement, I catch up with my old mates and the women I worked with. It's the fun times we remember, not the hard times that we remember. And I do think, again, I was talking to my kids, I don't think work is anywhere near the fun that we had in sort of my tenure. And I think that's an absolute shame because you
That
go to
off.
work when you're relaxed. You play so much better when you're relaxed and having fun. And I don't think, I think people used to sort of look at us at Taco Bell and sort of go, are they actually like doing any work? Like, is anything happening? And my point of view was we averaged, I know this for a fact, we averaged a bonus payout for like 10 years at 150%. So we clearly delivered the results. But I would argue that we delivered the results, we had more fun. And it's all part of this. I believe culture fuels results, right? And when you're in business school, they teach you strategy, structure, culture. And I'm like, they're the right ingredients, they're just in the wrong order. And the right order is culture, strategy, structure, because otherwise you can write this brilliantly Harvard academic strategy. But if you don't understand what's happening in societal culture and you don't understand what's happening in the culture in your organization, it's a wonderful document and it's a wonderful case study, but it's not going to become reality.
I mean, one of my favorite little 3-liners, create the conditions. This is a Seth Godinism 101. He's like,
Right, yeah.
you have to create the condition
Yeah.
for the culture to feel safe enough to play. Why are leaders not getting this? Is it just fear? Is it their MBAs? What's the deal here?
Well, I don't have an MBA and I went to public school, so I'm very proud of both of those things. Though I do have an undergraduate degree. I don't want people to think I don't have anything. No, I do see this fear. And look, I mean, maybe this is easy because I'm now retired. But I used to think, even when I was working, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is someone was going to fire me and send me back to Sydney. I used to go, for most people, that would be a goal, not a downside, right? So, we're going to fire Greg and send him back to Sydney. And people would go, shit, sign me up. You fire me and send me to Sydney, right? And so I don't know. I've never, like this whole idea, we talked about courage and stuff, but I think people are way too fearful of things that aren't going to happen. And if the worst happens is you lose your job, that's not good. But if you're any good at your job, you'll go get another one.
Totally.
I'm just being honest. And now I'm lucky I never lost my job. I went very close with some of the decisions I made, but no, I wouldn't do it again. And I don't. Who wants to be a coward? Do you want to grow up and be courageous or a coward? I mean, it's a choice.
I'm back to my kids too. Like it's that simple, right? They're watching every move I make, and like all you can do is try to emulate. And I think we forget this. Like if you're in your car right now listening to this podcast, yes, you are being watched. Like you can't compartmentalize work version of you from fun dad at home.
Yeah,
like it's the same human. They're picking up on all of this on you. So like, why not teach them to be brave, to take a cut? Don't you want your kids to go?
I agree.
Be curious and live an adventure. And again, we're going to make mistakes. One of my favorite t-shirts to wear from a stage.
Right.
I don't think I wore it that day. Maybe I did. Was I'm not a fake it till you make a guy. I'm a mistake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Right. Like
no, mine's the same. Mine is you won't always be right, but you have to be clear. And not making a decision is the worst. I used to hate. I'd go to a meeting, which I didn't sit in a lot, and people would go, "Oh, I think we'll meet next week." I'm like, "What the hell are you doing?" They're like, "Well, we're going to make the decision next week." So I said, "You made a decision not to make a decision." No. We're just going to make the decision next week. I said, "No. You made a decision not to make a decision." I said, "In 7 days, what the hell are you going to find out that's different?" Mostly nothing. So I'm like, I'm locking the doors. I'm going to put the fire warden will get in trouble. And you're not coming out of here until you make a decision. And if it's the wrong decision, you don't lose your job. We'll course correct. But an organization can't run without direction. It can't. And I would rather have, if you don't make a decision, you have 10,000 people going in 10,000 directions. If I make the wrong decision, I've at least got 10,000 people going in one direction, and then I can course correct and take 10,000 people in a different direction. But it drives me insane when people won't make a decision.
Well, why aren't they making the decision? One is, are they as clear as they could be, should be? Organizations are very good at overcomplicating things. So I'm curious, in your mind, what role does courage play in helping them keep it simple, or should it play?
Oh, I think courage is the essence. I used to say the 3 characteristics. People, you get asked the elevator question when you're a CEO, right? And so you get an elevator answer because when you get in the elevator, someone's going to ask you. And the question I always got was, what are the 3 characteristics of a great leader? And mine are smart, heart, and courage. And of all of those, IQ is the least important. But funnily enough, we care about what our kids' grades are, and we care what everyone gets at school. And that doesn't matter. Like it's irrelevant. Like when no one goes, oh, Johnny got 126. He's got an IQ of 126. First of all, no one knows. Secondly, no one cares. The things that matter most are emotional intelligence. Do you have a heart for people? And are you courageous? And your formula, I'm going to give you huge credit because the smart, heart, and courage for a long time, I could explain smart, IQ plus EQ, heart for people, heart for the business. And then courage was like, well, I know what courage is. I love what I took away, which was knowledge. I think you called it belief plus action, which was thinking, feeling, and doing. I have stolen that since you and I met. I just got off a call 20 minutes ago where I said, I've now got a formula to describe courage. And I think that formula is going to help me as I communicate to people. And I think the thing that's most missing out of thinking, feeling, and acting is acting. I think people are smart. They feel, but they just, for some reason, they don't act.
Well, first of all, this concludes the Courageous Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Right? I mean, no, but your comment about locking someone in a room and then like them not realizing that they made a choice, they made a decision by not making a decision. Where I go is that is an action. Your inaction is an action. It's no different. Like that inaction is an action. You made that choice until you make a different choice. So like that's how we describe it too. And then by the way, I don't feel like you can't come on the show and say you're retired and then tell me you just used the formula 6 minutes ago on another call and that you're getting to go into Wendy's. That doesn't sound like retirement to me.
No, but it's a different sort of retirement, right? I mean, I love it. It keeps me, it nourishes my soul. If I just, I love golf, but I don't want to play it 7 days a week. Trust me. Okay. And what is it? What's the sign behind every, my wife has this on her desk, behind every great retired CEO is a wife wishing he'd go back to work, which is probably true as well. So no, but I think, and it's funny. I think the question is, are we born courageous? Do we become courageous? Can you learn to be more courageous? I think that's something that would be interesting, just to talk. I don't mean now, but I think it's one of those questions. And I think, as I said, I think it depends on what the downside of getting it wrong is.
I also had Ron J. Galati on the show recently. He just wrote a book called How to Be Bold. Right. It's one of those things, Greg, like when you, and he's a professor at Harvard. He's not, I'm a public school kid like you are. So when this comes across your desk at first, your fear, my brain went bonkers. Like I've been talking about this for 7 years and now here comes Harvard. I'm getting all the text of how to be bold. And then when I actually talked to him, I was like, no, the world needs more courage. Like I need guys like him and he needs guys like me. Yeah. Sharing the data, sharing the research. The one thing that I thought was that I'm talking to Ron J about, he's got to get fully through his book launch. But I also want to study if you ranked courage as a concept by country.
Right.
What countries are not afraid to bring courage to the table versus some are like Japan. I don't know.
Me too.
Right. I don't know. I'm curious, like, is that honor and respect? These are just the thesis. You came from Australia. Like, where's courage? Where's Australia on the courage rate?
I think we're really high. I mean, I always say like there's 27 million of us. And I think when you consider how many CEOs around the world are Australian, we sort of, we better represent ourselves than 27 million divided by 7 billion, right? I think part of courage is being vulnerable. I think they actually go hand in hand. And I think there are cultures that are much better at being vulnerable. And then there are cultures, it's funny, you love this. So as much as I call people mavericks and misfits, my other one to upset my audience is I go, Americans are really shitty at being vulnerable. They suck at vulnerable. And I think Australians are vulnerable. I think South Africans are vulnerable. I think even Russians are vulnerable. I think there's cultures where people are vulnerable. And having run a company with 140 countries, I got to visit a lot of the world. But for some reason, I don't find Americans overly vulnerable. And I think if you're vulnerable, you can be courageous. I think vulnerability and courageous are somehow intrinsically linked. I can't prove it. We need a Harvard person to prove it. But my gut tells me that the more vulnerable you are, either as an individual or as a culture, the more courageous you will be as an individual. I can't prove it, I can't prove lots of things I say, but I fundamentally believe it.
Now I know why HR is trying to get you off the stage.
Oh,
Greg,
you-
you can't say that, Greg.
Oh, look, I remember turning up at Taco Bell and I go, "Hi, I'm Greg. I'm from Australia. I never worked on Taco Bell. I suck at process and I can't spell." And they also wanted to tackle me off the stage, right? Because they're like, "You can't say that." I'm like, "I can say it because first of all, I suck at spelling. Not that that really matters, and the whole world knows I suck at spelling, and I'm really terrible at process. So why should I pretend I'm any good at it? Because I'm really bad at it. So no one's going to put me on the team to be the process guy." My favorite story on spelling, which has got nothing to do with what we're talking about, is I went for my, when you're like 50, you have that first Alzheimer's test to make sure there's like a benchmark sort of thing. It's out of 30. I think I got 29. Anyway, I see on his clipboard a rhinoceros. I think, oh shit, if I've got to spell rhinoceros, we're going to be here for a week. I have no clue. So I said to the guy, "Listen, I don't know how to spell rhinoceros." He goes, "First of all, don't cheat. Secondly, you just have to know it's a rhinoceros, not spell it." I said, "Oh, okay, thank God we can keep going with the test." But funnily enough, like HR did not like me saying that I was bad at process. And I'm like, I'm really bad at it. So the good thing is if you're vulnerable, I had to surround myself with people who are good at process because maybe I can have ideas, but I can't get my idea to become reality unless I got someone to process, right? So, but I find Americans...
Which is worse, like pretending to be good at process?
Oh, that's the worst thing. But, but no one liked me saying I was bad at these things. And I was like, I don't get it because you only have to know me for a minute to know I both can't spell. The joke in my family is my 6-year-old grandson spells better than I do. And, the other joke is I can't even spell process, let alone do it, right? So, but that's okay because other people can't do some of the things I can do. So a team is not meant to be, we're not all great at, we used to do, I remember the old days that, we used to do like the Myers-Briggs things, and so I would be the ENFP, wacky doodle off in the corner, and everyone else would be TSs and Js, and I'm like, you need me on your team, otherwise you're going to overthink anything, right? So anyway,
well, that was the whole thinkers, feelers, and doers.
Yeah.
Like you can't have like a whole no disrespect to Deloitte, but you can't have 500 thinkers and no feelers. Actually, the hardest keynote I've ever done was Deloitte.
Right.
Because I'm like, how am I going to get this group? And it was
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to outthink you guys on anything, but I am going to outfeel you. And like, remember your client, the way you move them is by feeling. By the way, your comment on vulnerability, and I don't have the research to back this either. So we're going to agree to live in who knows land. But
Yeah.
I do think that the reason it works is we are mirrors. So if you as the leader is vulnerable, you give permission for those who choose to step in to be vulnerable. If you're a jerk, guess what you're going to get back? You're going to get back a jerk. If you, it's the leader. It's all.
And the great thing as a CEO is words matter, but actions matter more. And I think that takes a while to learn as a CEO. As you said earlier, everyone watches whether you blink and nod and have a twitch or whatever. But so I was very big in trying to be inclusive as a CEO, like include everybody. And I think one of the best things I did, and I didn't do it, I did it not being naive, was I had 2 friends, women who were getting married, and they couldn't find someone to be the marriage celebrant. So I got ordained online in 20 minutes while I go to theology school. And I think I'm the only CEO on the Fortune 500 that's ever married 2 lesbians. And now, first of all, I did it because I love these ladies. They're just amazing ladies and they're my best friends. But I also did it because I was not naive enough to know that, well, Greg can get up there and talk about inclusiveness till the cows come home. Or Greg can go up there and say, I'm the only Fortune 500 guy that's married 2 lesbians. And I think we don't, as CEOs, we often, we sort of worry about everyone looking at us, but what we don't use is the power of what we do as sending messages for what matters.
Beautiful. Yeah. And again, words do matter. To me, words do matter.
They do.
They help us get there faster, but I agree with you that you kind of need the tell in order to do the show.
Yeah.
Like, once you have the tell, you can show.
Yeah, they both matter. But I've had people who say one thing and they do the opposite. The tell and the do have to line up. Otherwise, people see through it, and no one wants to work for someone who's not genuine. And that's, again, goes back to vulnerability. That's why I think it's okay to say what you're not good at and, all that sort of crazy stuff.
So let's pretend you were actually retired, because we both know that you're not. Right? Talking of showing and telling and doing.
Yeah.
And like, we got the rocking chairs out for a hot second, and you got a brown drink and I got a brown drink. And I'm like, all right. So like, as you reflect back
Yeah.
You're still in return space.
Yeah.
What are you hoping leaders, like if I'm an upcoming leader, give me my 1-2. I don't even want the 3.
Yeah, well, first I'm going to share with you my legacy, which someone said to me. Only reason I'm going to share it is someone said to me about 10 years ago, "What's your legacy?" And I thought, I hadn't even thought about it, right? And then someone said, "You should define your legacy when you start your career, because that will help you make decisions consistent with delivering that legacy." So that's a powerful message that I wish I'd known. My legacy, which I wrote out about 10 years, probably on that now, was proving good guys can come first. And
Beautiful.
I did it because I think if you're not in business, everyone thinks we have to lie and cheat and connive and cut corners and screw everybody over and be nasty in order to be successful. And I wanted to demonstrate, no, you can be a good guy. So I think that's sort of what drives me. I was then able to articulate it. What I want people, if I had to leave 2 messages, one is culture fuels results. Because I think people think, tough and nasty and command and control, fuels results. And I think nothing is further from the truth. And so your job as the leader is to create a culture, as we said earlier, in which people can be their best selves. I say to people, if you can't come to work and be your best self, then you're in the wrong job. You're in the wrong company. You need to go find a company where you can be yourself. Because I honestly, if you looked at me, no one would have ever draft picked me to be, I wasn't a number 1 draft pick to become a CEO. Let's not kid ourselves. I was probably like Tom Brady, which is in the 7th round, this wacky doodle from Australia, and someone chose him. But I don't have my MBA. I didn't go to private school. I didn't go to Harvard. I don't even like my wife said I'm the worst dressed CEO she's ever met. Like seriously, and I don't, because I don't care about how I dress. I mean, look at this shit I'm wearing today. Like, holy,
It's beautiful, guys. You should see this baby.
I know it's funny, and I got shorts on. Anyway, that's not the point. So I think culture fuels results. Your job is to create a culture in which everyone can be their true best self, and if you can do that, where people can be their true best self, that organization will outperform every other organization. And the worst sort of leaders are command and control. That's the first one. And the other thing would be, I think it's something like, do the jobs you do best and delegate the rest.
Yes, totally.
And I think what happens is people are really bad delegators. And the job is, so for example, I would delegate every process thing that came my way because I'm no good at it. I didn't even pretend I was good at it because first of all, not only was I bad at it, I wasn't even interested in it. Like, I don't have any interest in how the train runs. I want to know where the train's going and, picture a new place for us to go. So this idea of, do what you do best and, be open and honest about it and then delegate the rest. And I think those would be the 2 messages I would leave the future generation of leaders.
I'm sort of sad now that we met now.
I know. I was too when I saw you present. I was like, holy shit, we should have met 20 years ago.
Yeah, we're very like I said, and again, I was in duct tape startups, but I'm like, do it your best, pay for the rest. You got to figure out a way to like you. And I do my strengths. Don't ask me to look at the books. Like someone else needs to help me do that part.
Yeah.
Let me be the leader and think about where we're going. And, I have one fear that I think, whether I'm using your acronym or it's true or that I worry about that I want your take on. So, and I get, this is, I guess.
This is deep. Well, we're getting deep here.
Yeah. I'm shifting in my seats, folks. That's where this is going. So I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. So we have a little bit of time here.
Yeah.
I am so afraid of remote work and hybrid work.
Right.
I believe that I became the leader I am because I had great mentors. And I also had I think I wrote this thing like the last list you want to land on list, which was like, you learn what to do by watching what not to do list. Yeah. So I'm very worried without these collisions happening at the office. And some of my, let's just call them what they are, younger employees are like, are you saying we have to go back to work full time? Who is going to learn leadership? So my 12-year-old, by the time they're in the workplace, they've stumbled into good, bad collisions, all of it. Yeah. Can you walk me off this ledge and help me be prepared for the future? Yeah, look, I think again, I'm like the luckiest when I sort of retired was January the 4th, 2020. So I retired like 6 weeks before COVID, right? So I lived my whole life of everyone comes to work. Though we used to have Friday afternoons off and stuff like that. I think the people who love remote work love the productivity of it, but I think we've traded collaboration. I think we've traded productivity for collaboration.
And I think collaboration is where ideas come from more than productivity. Productivity is the expression of collaboration. If you don't have collaboration, you've got nothing to be productive around, right? Now, having said that, I do have 2 kids. Mine are in their 30s. Actually, no, my son's 40 now, which is frightening. They do like the flexibility. I've got to be honest. They do like the flexibility of, because they have both spouses working and, all that. So I think you can't, I don't know how you could be remote like zero and be successful. I think everyone's now asking people to be back in 3 or 4 days a week. I can sort of live with sort of 3 or 4 days, but because, as I said, Fridays we used to Taco Bell, we used to have like Fridays off anyway, pretty much. But I do think if you're in a completely remote, your team's remote, you're remote, you never see each other. I just don't know how you build that relationship and that vulnerability and the trust and all the things that I think really are. I'll give you my little example of why I think this stuff matters. It's going to bore everyone. I always say to people, what's the functional role of a watch, right? The answer is to tell the time. So how much does a watch cost to tell the time? The answer is probably $5. Then I say to everyone, put your hand in the air, and if you've got a watch, and put it down if you spent less than $5. And the answer is everyone spends more. So we don't do things for functional reason. Yeah, okay, the watch has to tell the time, but that's not why we buy the watch. It's not why we buy the car we buy. You drive a Bentley and a Kia for 1 hour at 80 miles an hour. They both go 80 miles. If that's the functional role of a car, that's not why. So we, as leaders, people get caught up in this functional stuff, and yet we're emotional beings. And if you don't find time to build that camaraderie, the stuff we got up to at Taco Bell, if David Novak had known what we got up to, we all would have been fired. But the fact that we delivered 150% bonus every year, he just left me alone, right? So, and as I said, when we catch up together now, my old team, it's always about the fun things we did. It's not necessarily about the hard work things we did. It was the fun things enabled us, I think, to make really tough decisions and trade-offs.
Well, there's your legacy. What else could you ask for that you were the fun boss that got results?
Yeah.
What else could you ask for?
Yeah, you want to be the asshole boss that doesn't get results? No one wants to be that. You don't want that on your tombstone, right?
He was such an asshole, but he sure got results.
Oh yeah, like I want you to think about this now. Your role as a dad. You want the people who work for me. I think they said, "Hey, your dad's pretty cool. Your dad, we have fun working for your dad. We really like working for your dad." I'm not on an ego trip. I think that's what do you want? Or people say your dad's a complete asshole. Yeah, he delivers results, but he's a complete asshole. No, even as a parent, you want your kids to hear stories that you empower people, you inspire people, you create a culture where anything's possible. That I think as a parent, that's what I want my kids to hear, because they don't see you at work. I want my kids to know that's the sort of boss I was at work, not the other sort of boss. And that's a part of, I think, why I think, my kids accept the trade-off was a good trade-off.
We've been with Greg Creed. Man, Greg, you are, just because you went to public school, you are clearly smart. You can't not feel your heart. And thank you for loving this word too. I think we both love the word courage.
Yeah.
You could feel it. And stay, I'm air quoting, retired, because no, the world needs more of you. I'm so grateful that we had a chance to universe is connected. I know we're not done. I know we're gonna.
I agree. I hope together. I hope this is just the beginning of many. And as I said, I furiously write down. I don't write down a lot because I've been around a lot, but I write down a lot. And as I said, this courage formula, I have become your greatest salesperson.
Well, you're hired. We can have that chat too. Again, I think there's 3 types of people in the world. There's gainers.
Yeah.
You gain energy from.
Yeah.
There's drainers, they drain your energy, and then there's maintainers, which I don't want to be. I never want to be uneven. You are a gainer, man. I've loved this. Was so fast and awesome. And let's make sure if you find yourself back near,
I am. I got a place in Orange County, so we'll be out there for Christmas and summer. Let's catch up. I'd love to.
Done. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.